was somewhere around 2021 when we were also entering into the era of clean room. How do we go about building our data clean room solution? And we had the like of Georgie and Abhishek who had already developed a piece of it using Google Ads Data Hub, right? And then we came to know that Amazon has like gamut of products that is already in beta, and then I think Chris, Lucy, and I forget the name of our ad tech CSM as well, but I think they unlocked the beta for us right away, and then there is a good 1.5 months of conversation in terms of understanding, and we were really surprised to see that a lot of things that we are doing, Amazon has already built over it, right? And I mean, it was unlocked in a couple of days where we were able to build solutions, test it out. We passed on our feedback. I think we learned a lot from that particular session. And even though at that point of time we were not very sure whether we end up productionizing or not, but I think what was lovely is to see the case study that came out of it. There were 2 case studies that went live with Amazon. I think one was on identity spine and how we build, and then how it ends up providing them the feedback. Another one was on clean room, very much on the clean room. And I think the moment it went live, within 2.5 months, Ramya, I remember having at least 7 to 8 of our clients and partners reaching out to us, mentioned that, hey, I didn't know that you guys are working on this initiative, would love to see that product, right? So the likes of Georgie, John, all of them were reached out. So that's the power of collaboration. I mean, even though you end up productionizing or not, but even the result of a case study being production, getting us that client's attention, I think that was also a solid collaboration that probably into ad tech industry that we could speak about.
Kind of going back to some of the discussions that we've already had this week, we've been fortunate to meet a lot of senior leaders, and it really comes back to this thing that if you've probably been in any meetings with us this week, you've heard quite a bit, which is working backwards. So for us to actually be successful in helping customers like you, it really comes back from understanding what you're trying to achieve. That isn't necessarily we're trying to use this feature in Amazon S3. It's like, what is the business objective? What are you actually trying to do so that we can provide the maximum level of support to help you achieve that? So we're going to continue having more meetings this week and understanding more about what you're trying to achieve. But we've already been doing things over the last couple of years at least to try and partner on things. Lucy just mentioned things like clean rooms, which was in preview before you actually got access to it. But actually maybe something that's a little bit more recent, Gen AI, which I'm sure everyone in this room at this point has probably heard Gen AI about 1 million times. So we've been partnering with the platform team, for example, on a new project that's going to use some of our new Gen AI services that haven't actually been released yet, which gives us an opportunity again to get that feedback in, but to also make sure that MiQ are on the forefront of technology. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that you're established as a technical leader and make sure that we're including you in all of the things that make you more and more relevant. I think probably outside of the technology service implementation, you've also got training. So I think training is always important. Things are always changing. I mean, even I have to sharpen the saw once a week to make sure that I'm staying relevant. And I think there's a lot of training opportunities that are coming up. I don't know if anyone in the room is doing the game day later, but yeah, we have an AWS game day later. It was quite popular last year, so it's being brought back. I think there's more attendees this year than there was last year too, so that'll be good. And we've also been working on actually more formal training. So I think we've probably got, well, I'll say a substantial increase in the amount of training that is going to be available before the end of the year. Everything from architecting to development to data science is actually going to be available before the year closes.
What we plan to do in coming years as well. But just a quick recap, I think we primarily started our focus on cost, like the FinOps, typical FinOps, as a very structured approach somewhere around 2018-19 period, right? Remember us creating a detailed portfolio of the inventory, going and tackling it, trying to save some cost. And I think when we had done that, I remember then at that point of time, our leadership thinking that this is a significant saving when we could have done that in a couple of months. And I think from there, the whole innovation in terms of cost savings and FinOps governance started. And from there, we started our OKR. I think OKR and our financial governance kind of started together. And I remember us taking a stab at our cost per GP as the metrics, right? So from 2019, what we have been mentioning is not only cloud cost, but overall technology cost and the GP that we are growing with and the percentage that it takes. And I'm glad to say, I think the number got released for 2022 only a couple of months back, and we are roughly around 35% down if I look from last 5 years where it started. I mean, not to speak about the numbers and the dollar, but in terms of percentage, I think we are 40% down when it comes to cost per GP from 2019 till 2022 closure, right? And OKR has been absolutely, key for us because, and all the engineering leaders and data science leaders will know here that we every month sit together for a cost update. That's how close we stay with respect to the cost per GP metrics. And I think it goes down from right from a junior engineer to the top leadership. That's how the hierarchy of our cost has flown. For example, maybe for engineering team, it is that 0% deviation in cloud cost versus what you have been budgeted, right? And when it goes to the top, then it translates into a cost per GP automatically, right? So that's the very laser sharp focus that we have already put on. In terms of savings, it has been, where we have achieved it, has been very diversified. One is cleaning your inventory, I think is definitely there. AWS has been really helpful to help us automate that inventory, have a look at that inventory. I mean, Maria from AWS team who visits us every month, that's her first list to discuss with us, to present the inventory, and then we automate. Second is we have brought in a lot of modern solutions to be integrated with AWS as well. You might have heard of something called as Zesty, right? That's an, again, a reservation instance improvement that we have done where we get literally 45% off on demand, right? 85% on spot is a huge number, industry benchmark to achieve. And trust me, every call we go with any vendor, we hear that as a compliment, that how the hell have you guys been able to manage this number, right? So Zesty being one, but there are other at least 4 to 5 different solutions within AWS, outside AWS. But I think modernization has been the key. We always are looking towards achieving more. I mean, in a way, also set the wrong benchmark with our leadership because they keep on coming back for cost savings. But I think if I speak as of now, and Akash can keep me honest, but I think we have 4 different streams, which are very new streams being pursued as we speak with respect to further cost optimization, right? So I think focus has been cleaning the backlog, but at the same point of time, never losing the track and being comfortable and making sure that there is definitely and more to achieve. What's coming up? I think Cleanathon is one. It's not a known. I think it has been a big blockbuster for this year for us. We started in Feb where it was $9,000 on that very day realization. But I'm glad to say that mostly it is roughly around 18 to 19K per month what we have been able to translate from that journey, right? It has been Cleanathon. It has been a lot of modern solutions that we have brought up. A lot of new, I can't name it. Some of those are very in beginning stage, but looks very promising. So 4 to 5 different solutions coming up again, which is very much sharpened towards cost. EKS is something that we are targeting to take to the next level stage, which means a lot of right sizing exercises, a lot of internal mini-thon happening for 1 or 2 days within our teams to make sure that we are aligned there, right? But yeah, I mean, cost per GP, OKR from ground till top, I think that has been the key. Backlog plus modernization and never being comfortable with what you have saved. I think that's what I've learned at least in the last 2 years, that let's not be comfortable, let's try to find more. So yeah, if that.
Going back to the Cleanathon event that happened back in February, I think we partnered quite early, getting involved. So Maria, the TAM, she was involved in something called the Cost Optimization Workshop, which is where we share about best practices, we identify opportunities for resources that could either be downsized, removed, maybe you're not actually using them, they've just been left there. As well as actually she provided, I believe, a list of resources that was like, here's things that you can actually go and tackle. And when it came to the Cleanathon day, ahead of the day, I think I went and looked at some of the more expensive services and then did an hour presentation just to kind of say, here's some additional areas you can focus on. I think sometimes actually being cost efficient, there are some easy things, but actually there's some harder things as well. And so it was more of an opportunity to say, you know, have you considered this? This is what I'm seeing be successful for other customers. I think going forward, of course, we always have things like, quarterly business reviews. These are a great opportunity for us to make sure that we're maintaining that hygiene for cost efficiency. And then we also expose things, so again, trusted advisor, a tool that will actually identify whether or not there are certain resources that are underutilized, maybe not being used at all, that, you know, it just becomes a repeatable cycle. The idea is that now that you're in a good health state, you can continue to keep it there rather than it being another big event, you know, a year from now.
Got it. Thank
Well, I wish I had one, of course. I'd probably be a lot richer than I am today. But I was thinking about this, actually, because if you look back at the beginning of this year, and you look at all the sort of market analyst reports of the top technology trends for 2023, you'll be hard pressed to find any mention of generative AI. And that's January this year even. It wasn't the hot topic on everyone's lips. You'd see maybe some mention of AI buried at maybe number 7 out of 10 on these lists. So whatever the next big game-changing innovation might be in the next 3 years, whether it's Web3, the expansion of the metaverse, or digital twins, or something we can't even conceive right now, I think the second part of your question is key. It's the how. How do you adapt and approach that? I think that's what we've been seeing this year is sort of where the sort of differentiation is happening is people and companies who are set up to be able to move quickly, but also companies who trust their process and trust their mechanisms, not respond to hype and think, oh, there's a new shiny thing, we must build something so we can tick this box and tell everyone how we're on the hype train, but actually have a mechanism around how you go about your decision making and your innovations. And we're big on mechanisms at Amazon, and we keep talking about working back from customers and customer needs, and that's how we interrogate sort of every decision that we make when it comes to launching a new product, feature, service, or way of working. We ask ourselves these sort of five key questions, and I encourage everyone to do the same, which if you can't answer these 5 questions, then go back to the drawing board and make sure that you can. And it's very simple. It's who is the customer? That kind of sounds simple, but often we think first about the solution and not necessarily, well, who's the customer that we're actually trying to help? What is their problem? What is the customer problem that we're actually trying to solve for? What is the most important customer benefit that we're looking to deliver from whatever this thing is? Can you visualize, or can you describe the customer experience? You'll notice the theme here, customer. And perhaps most importantly, how do you know that this is something the customer wants? So what research have you undertaken? And this is really important. We want to have a constant dialogue with our customers like yourselves to understand what's important to you, what your wants and needs are, so that we can go and make sure we're building the products and services that you actually want and need. Rather than us sort of taking a stab or taking a guess at that. So I suppose to summarize, whatever the next big thing is, if we stick to that process and that mechanism as we work together and ensure that we're doing things and making decisions in that way on behalf of your customers, who by proxy are our customers, then I think we'll be able to be successful and continue to be successful.
So I'm absolutely going to jump on the hype train, and I'm going to say Gen AI. So exactly like Mo says, it's all about starting from the business problem and not just trying to shoehorn it into anything. I think there is a certain excitement around it where we just want to shove it into anything we can. Be that in the office, be that in your your day-to-day life. I'm even thinking all the time about where I can make Gen AI do something for me, so I don't have to do it myself. Maybe dancing or cooking. So it's definitely something that is on the tip of everyone's lips. But I think particularly for the programmatic industry, it there's so many different ways it can affect. So from sort of an internal point of view, doing sort of business improvements and sort of process improvements. We're even seeing that with some of the exciting stuff that we've been working with the platform team on. But also things like, working with sales teams. If you get an RFP, could you summarize the RFP? Some things, reduce some of the heavy lifting, but also some of the things around, audience, and, you can synthesize audience data. You can, make up your own audiences so you don't have to expose PPI or you can, it's even asset creation. You can type in, create a media brief or, receive media briefs and summarize them, or create media briefs from a summary. And also things like, even taking away the technology barrier or the technological barrier to creativity. So, basically allowing, democratizing anything that anybody within the team wants to do, taking away that technological barrier and, allowing them to be able to do it. So I think there's a huge creativity side of there as well, which we've already seen in things, you see it, AI generation, make yourself look like a Barbie, that sort of thing that you can already see in the world. So I think it's going to be huge not only for technology, but I think in the programmatic space as well, there's going to be so many use cases that we may have not even considered yet. And it's starting from those use cases rather than starting from Gen AI's cool. Let's just show.
So I'll probably start with what won't change. So a Customers will still want to be cost efficient, performant, security is still going to be important. So whatever happens in the future, those things are going to carry forward with it. I think to go to Lucy's point, democratizing tech is something that's going to become more and more important, really removing the undifferentiated tasks that don't actually add value to your business. We want you as a customer to be focusing on the things that actually really demonstrate your capabilities rather than doing the things that every other customer already does. I think obviously there are things like Gen AI, which is always exciting, but I think across the board you will see continued improvements. I think to give a improvement from the past, if you take when we launched AWS, we launched with, or actually about a year after, launched with a service called EC2, which was for compute. The idea was you would actually go ahead, you'd put your code on that, install all your dependencies. Now, fast forward to, I want to say 2014, 2015, we launched a service called Lambda, which now the process is upload your code into this thing, we're going to scale behind the scenes, manage most of the security for you. The idea is you're only focusing on what you're actually doing to add value. I think we're going to see more and more and more of this so that you can actually value on, focus on the things that are adding value, but also the things that enrich, yourselves as programmers. You want to be challenged to do the things that really stretch your brain muscles, not doing things that actually, again, are just, a huge consumption of time without necessarily differentiating.
Excellent. Thank you. Past the schedule hour. We're about 5 minutes past the schedule hour, but quickly, so you all get an opportunity. Any question from the audience?
What I'm saying is that for certain industries, right, so there are pre-canned workflows on AWS. For example, for healthcare, I know that AWS has done quite a bit in last few years, right? So HIPAA compliance came in and all those things. So do you intend to have any such things for EdTech as well, which are curated for EdTech workflows?
Yes, so the answer is yes. We have a workflow already. We have a whole team dedicated to ad tech, who we sort of have sort of two lenses on ad tech. It's the AWS side and very much the AWS expertise within that. We can totally hook you up with those people. We've also recently launched AWS plus Amazon Ads, which really takes into sort of the convergence of the product side and the tech side, and really takes that whole journey for you. It's not just saying, right, well, we're just going to focus on the S3 because we know about that. It's about how AMC runs on S3 and, the DSP journey and, the whole ad journey, not just we know that, we don't care what your data is, we just know that it sits in S3, or, we don't care how you run your whole workflow. There's a whole team now dedicated to that, which we've recently launched.
All right, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Lucy, for that. With that, we come to a wrap, and thank you so much for taking time to join us here and also sharing your thoughts. I'll